Those came up with Robert's.
No.
Peggy, Alan, do you need any?
I'm not used to texting.
I'm always. No, not those.
Anyhow, I'm doing a new song today. I just see it on the list of songs. I figured I'd be representing with all my
When it dries, it splits and so strong this way. And I want all part of it.
I go back and forth. That funny how time
When I have this nice little pen, I thought I had to bring
Sharon,
a chair.
I need to get my quote from you.
It was a week.
No problem. It's upstairs. My office.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
If you don't have flowers,
Hello.
Amy. Okay, thank you.
morning. I need to stand on tiptoe. My name is Peggy Lagodny. I'm a worship associate here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland, and it's good to see everyone here this morning. The words of our welcome come from Kimberly Ann Thompson Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you begin seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibility of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome. We especially welcome any guests who are worshiping with us for the first time today, either physically or in the cyber world. If you are interested in more information on who we are, there are these little that are available over at the welcome table. If you are watching us on an internet platform, you can go to uucleveland.org and request more information. Now, there's a little bit of housekeeping. On the back of your order of service, you'll see a little QR code. I know we're outside, but still, just if you have a minute, please fill out the form. It's a contact tracing for in case anybody happens to come down with COVID, hopefully not. And since we are about to enter sacred space, would you please take a moment to silence your phones and any of the other electronics that may make noise. Now, if you join me in the chalice lighting, the words are in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I'm going to invite you to help me with the call to worship today. And also, I just want to mention that there's additional lawn over here. If those of you that are setting up in the back feel distant from the flowers and you want to move a chair forward, I invite you to do that. You don't have to move. You're fine where you are if you're comfortable there. But if you would like to, there's a little bit of green space over here for you. A few in Santa Fe at the Spiritual Directors International Annual Conference, and there was a woman there named Pat McCabe that did our ceremonial opening every morning. And one of those mornings, she did a heart opening song, and it was from her tradition, from her indigenous spiritual tradition. And I thought, this is really beautiful. I wish I could take this back to the congregation. That would not be appropriate for us to sing that. So I started thinking, well, what song would be appropriate for us to sing? And so this is a heart-opening song. If you want lyrics, they're on the green insert, but it's pretty easy, I think. Thank you. We're going to begin with My Heart is Open Wide to the Song of the Earth and to the Song of You and to the Soul, because that's really what we are about today in our flower ceremony, is opening our hearts to one another and being willing to receive from one another. Here's the tune. My heart is open, open wide to the song of the earth. That's all there is to it. My heart is open, open wide to the song of the earth. Now my heart is open wide to the song of you. My heart is open, open wide to the song of you. My heart is open, open wide to the song of you. And now to the song of my soul. My heart is open, open wide to the song of my soul. My heart is open, open wide to the song of my soul. And so it is with open hearts that we enter into worship with one another. And I invite you to greet each other as you are able today. We're about to sing Color and Fragrance. We don't have hymnals out here, but all the words are in your order of service. So when you hear the music start, then settle back down and we'll sing together. But for the moment, let's greet one another.
Good morning.
Hey. Good, how are you?
I think so. Yep. Yeah, we definitely met.
Good morning, video person. Good, how you doing? Oh, I'm on you.
I don't think it will, fingers crossed, but I keep checking the weather like, it's gotta make it to like 1:30 and it's supposed to would just be cloudy and.
It's okay. I love crowds. And my daughter's running at the today. She's like, I was thinking about you organizing these
Please stand as you're able and join me. Color and fragrance, magical rhythm, sweet changing music, changes rhythm, life within life in a light gently flowing. Surely you seem to be God's vision growing. Place me and sky, in field and forest, over and narrow, I'm breathing light brightly glowing. Not are too small to be God's vision growing. In human eyes burn, living, illumines all. Loving, giving, greeting we meet, seeing light brightly glowing. In a greater light, God's glory. Shaker of all things, cross you've given, our chance to keep near, on earth or heaven. May we be grateful, God's vision
During our flower ceremony, we bring flowers that represent a number of things, but maybe one of the things that the flowers that we bring represents is all of the joys and concerns that we carry with us into community with one another. I'm going to invite you in just a moment to bring the flowers that you've brought up to the vases behind me. But first, I want to share a couple of joys and concerns from our community. First, over 8 years of participation by many UUCC members in green initiatives aimed at building community in the noble neighborhood of Cleveland Heights has all of those years have culminated in an award by the National Science Foundation. The top line value of this grant is $1.6 million, and it's going to be used over 5 years to build 40 pollinator gardens in low-income areas of East Cleveland and the Noble neighborhood. This is, yes. An area of great tools. It's going to be led by nationally renowned academics from Ohio State and the University of Michigan in partnership with local grassroots organizations. And this whole effort represents a bold and creative attempt to rethink environmental and racial justice. There are going to be many challenging and interesting opportunities for our congregation in the months ahead, so please stay tuned. I also want to share a special joy today. The staff got together and we were thinking about the volunteers that have made the greatest difference in the past year. And the regathering team, which a lot of whom were staff, but the regathering team also involves some volunteers from the congregation. And we just would like to thank them this morning. And I have a small token of our appreciation for you. Ray Gonzalez, Amy Iglesias, Ken Keem, and Carol Gay. Stay Yes, you can applaud them. Here's why you're applauding them. Since around this time last year, it was summertime last year. This group began getting together on sometimes a weekly basis, sometimes every other week, to evaluate how we can gather together in person again as a congregation. It has not been easy. It's been very fluid. Sometimes we made decisions that people didn't like, and we still feel very comfortable with those decisions because we thought it kept the congregation as healthy and safe as possible. But it's just been really incredible work. Thank you for helping us with that. And if you didn't see, we got them little personal chalices that have the UU symbol on them so that they can have a chalice to light in their personal spiritual practices, or when they're on a Zoom meeting, we're still going to keep doing that. I also want to share with you, many of you know Marcia Davis. We just want to share our love and concern for her and her family as they navigate her terminal diagnosis. I just want to let you know that cards are welcome for Marcia if you would like to send a card. I'm not sure how she's doing with visitors right now, but I know that she's loving cards that we're able to send. Our lay pastoral care team has been in contact with her, but I just wanted to let you all know her situation at this point. She's entering into hospice. And so if you've been thinking about sending Marcia a card, this might be the day to do it. And we have all brought our own joys and concerns with us into a symbol of bringing all of those joys and concerns into our community, where we welcome all of who we are.
Watercolor grasses running through the rain. Images of springtime fill my mind again. Only winter's lonely memories remain. Summertime is hiding deep within each bud. Sap is sweetly flowing, nature's primal blood. Mountain streams are running joyfully to join the flood. Let us celebrate all that we receive. Let us celebrate all that we perceive. Summer trails of springtime, growth is everywhere. Sun is waxing higher, it shimmers in the air. And the rainbow flowers, sweet perfume, it smells so fair. Autumn comes the harvest, apples crisp and red. Frost is on the windows, extra blankets on the bed. And the kitchen's warm and toasty as we bake the bread. Let us celebrate all that we receive. Let us celebrate all that we conceive. Once against the winter, icy winds do blow. Earth is growing silent, hearth fires are aglow. As we all renew our energy beneath the winter snow. Let us celebrate all that we receive. Let us celebrate all that we perceive.
Well, good morning. Seed is a magical thing. I know that magic is one of those things that, it mainly lives in sort of books and movies and fantasy card games that get played on tabletops. But there are times I feel like we could use just a little bit more magic in our world. Actually, I saw something on social media this week that really brought this home, and a reminder about, what magic helps us see and kind of understand about the world. A man was explaining that he was hanging out with his young son on a rainy day, and he got that question that most parents have gotten at one time or another. Daddy, where does thunder and lightning come from? And he said, sort of reflected on that, and he immediately thought about how cool it would be if he lived hundreds of years ago and could talk about mythology and the gods and magic and power and these thunderbolts being thrown in heaven, crazy things going on in the sky. But he said, we really don't have those stories anymore. So instead, I just thought I'd tell them, the truth, which is, I don't know. Now, I have some idea of how a seed works. I don't know all the details about, plant genetics and the chemical dimensions of germination, but I also know little enough about it that I can still look at a seed that I can hold on my fingertip, and I can entertain the miraculous idea that somehow a plant with roots and leaves and stems and, of course, flowers is all somehow contained in this little package. A seed is a magical thing. When fascist governments were taking over Europe in the 1930s, there were actually a range of religious leaders who responded with courage, confronting these forces and very often giving their lives or livelihoods in the process. People like Primo Levi and Viktor Frankl, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, they not only confronted the horrors, they also never stopped asking questions, and they never stopped making meaning, even of the suffering that was all around them. Norbert Čapek belongs in that list, and he should be part of any conversation that we have as UUs about how our commitment to help create a more just and a more equal world comes out of communities of people who care to love one another and to share that love with the world. Čapek was from the Czech Republic, and he spent his youth bouncing around in different religious communities while he was there. That part of Europe is actually remarkable for having this very diverse religious history, and it's been a place where that kind of religious experimentation grew up. When he left, he actually arrived in Newark, New Jersey, of all places, in the 1920s as a minister in a Baptist church, during which time he faced 2 heresy cases that were leveled at him. He was clearly on the pathway to something outside of traditional religion, and so it's no surprise he and his wife discovered a Unitarian church, and Čapek's life changed forever. He returned to Europe right before the terrors that would follow, before his community was scattered, before he was arrested, before he was sent to Dachau, and before the Nazis murdered him. He helped to he led a revival among liberal religious communities that tapped into these deep cultural roots, but also he helped to foster a new expression of human dignity, peace, equity, and justice. Čapek's congregation in Prague was full of people from Catholic and Jewish backgrounds, and so he needed something to find a way to capture what it meant to be together without borrowing from those traditions. He really needed something new, something that would open people's hearts in a way that allowed for a new kind of community. So Čapek gathered some flowers, and he invited his congregation to do the same. Together, they blessed them and they consecrated themselves, acknowledging that the gifts of the earth can be a pattern for how we can give and care for one another. Čapek invited his congregation to see in these flowers the diversity of his community and the uniqueness of each member of it. He preached the value of companionship, and he invited everyone there to realize that by opening up their hearts, their own beloved community could be like a flower in bloom, opening itself to the world as an invitation and an offering of a new way to be together, living with mutual respect, care, and love. A seed is a magical thing, and each of us is a seed, which is a way of saying that each of us is miraculous. These flowers today remind how each of us, by being who we are and sharing it with the world, can make an absolute garden of this place. Our deepest values about the dignity of people, the importance of justice, these are rich soils that root how we exist in the world. But we come to bloom when we have the courage to open ourselves, to show the fullest expression of who we are, and to receive the fullness of one another. That's what beloved community is all about. A seed is a magical thing, and this community is a seed. We should never lose that sense of magic. We should realize that the kernel of a more just, more loving world, so that we can invite others in and show the world that a community like ours can thrive in this world and transform how we know and care for one another. Today, we gather to recall this great topic and to reenact this deeply sacred act of community expression. And I hope that we can all experience it this year as a lesson in who we have it in us to be, and an invitation to realize that what we do here when we gather as this beloved community, in small groups and choir rehearsals, in board meetings and impact planning sessions, in forums and wiry classrooms, we are doing the slow, deep work of seeds, pushing up shoots and unfurling flowers so that we can fill the world with vibrant color and life-giving fragrance. I hope we can carry these symbols and signs that we celebrate today as we do this work of being a beloved community until the next blossoming, when we gather to share these flowers again.
Well said.
That's good. Thank you. I need to grow an inch or two. We now enter into the time in our service where we pause for reflection. The words today are the Flower Communion Blessing by Thomas Rhodes. Within our hands, we hold the resurrection of the world, transient and imperfect. These blossoms are still gifts of infinite value, like ourselves. Too often we seek permanence and perfection, resisting change, blind to our shortcomings. We become caught up in the petty issues and routine activities of our daily lives. But may these flowers serve as a reminder as they allow themselves to open to the heavens, for despite their imperfections, they still have integrity. And though they are transient, they contain the seed of transcendence, like ourselves. Let us then also open ourselves to mystery and wonder, fretting not about small mishaps or even in us. Let us keep a moment of silent appreciation together.
We began with a heart-opening song, opening to the song of one another and all that we bring together. And we talked about having open hearts, as Alan was giving us a reflection of what the origins of flower ceremony are and how they can still be meaningful to us. And I think, why wouldn't our hearts always be open? And I think the reason is because there is so much pain in the world that we're afraid of having open hearts because we don't want to feel that pain. Later in the service, we're going to sing about our hearts being open to the love of the earth and one another and ourselves. But first, I just want to let us take a moment to sing, perhaps aspirationally, that our hearts can be open to the pain that we see in the world and in one another, and perhaps in ourselves. We're going to take up an offering in just a few moments here in the wider world, and we do that every week because we want our hearts to be open enough to the pain in the world around us that we can respond in a meaningful way out of our values. So, same tune as we sang before, but I invite you to sing along. Now we're going to sing, "My heart is open wide to the pain of the earth, to the pain of you, and to the pain of my soul. For this too is sacred." My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the pain of the earth. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the pain of the earth. Now to the pain of you. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the pain of you. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the pain of you. Now the pain of my soul. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the pain of my soul. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the pain of my soul.
Our offertory today is going to Witness for Peace Solidarity Collective. Colombian laborers make many sacrifices to supply the U.S. with varieties of flowers. Did you know that Colombia is the second largest exporter of flowers in the world? Did you know that about 76% of imported flowers in the U.S. come from Colombia? Did you know that the pretty bouquets of flowers that decorate our tabletops can also be produced under unjust and harmful working conditions? The flower industry was a priority for reform in the Labor Action Plan of the Colombia Free Trade Agreement due to the clear need for better working conditions. However, workers still lack job security, work compulsory overtime without pay, and are exposed to toxic carcinogenic pesticides that are banned in the US and Europe. The Witness for Peace Solidarity Collections formation was inspired by the vision of Honduran indigenous and environmental rights activist Berta Cáceres. The collective brings together grassroots organizers across the hemisphere, stateside regions, international human rights accompaniers, and advisors to campaign for peace, justice, and sustainable economies in the Americas. The ushers will be coming by with a plate, and we also invite you to give by way of our Cash App. Our handle is $UUCC 44122. Please give generously, but within your means.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All you need is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rains come tumbling down. Pulling weeds, picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Need a place to call my own, 'cause the time is near at hand. Green for grain, sun and rain, find my way through nature's chain. To my body and my brain, to the music of the land. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All you need is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rains come tumbling down. Plant your rows straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her loving care. An old crow watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there.
The ushers have already taken our gifts into the building, but we're still going to dedicate them. So I invite you to read the acceptance of gifts along with me. It's in your order of service. It's not on a yellow background today, but it says acceptance of gifts, so it's a really easy thing to find. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation as a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, city, our nation, and our world. I don't know when you arrived here this morning. If you arrived here early enough, you had to plead with some police officers to let you drive down the street because we had a surprise 5K that had shut off all of the access to our parking lot today. We didn't get any notification about it, so we didn't give you any notification about it. But people said, well, I just stopped and asked the kind policeman if they would let me through, and they said, well, just don't run over any runners. So you made it here, and that is sometimes more of a miracle than we realize. But a lot of people got here even before the roads were closed today to start setup. We've got so many things going on, and we've got the picnic after the service, and we've got free cycle, and we've got all of this set up that took a little extra care today. And sometimes we don't realize how many hands and how many people's energy goes into this sort of thing. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about flower ceremony, flower communion, is that we wind up with these beautiful bouquets because somebody decided to bring a flower and somebody else decided to bring a different flower. And we've got all of this diverse variety of color and bloom that we have here because everyone decided to bring their part. They decided to bring their piece of things forward and contribute to the beauty of the whole. I hope that's what this is about for you, that it's a reminder that you don't have to do everything, that you don't have to come with the whole bouquet and all of the different varieties and colors all by yourself, but you bring your peace, and other people will bring theirs. And together we create something beautiful that blooms from that seed that Alan was talking about. All of our efforts together nourish that and allow it to blossom. So as we consecrate the flowers that are here, I'm not just going to read some words to bless them. In other faith traditions, there is a priestly role that blesses water or flowers or some other communion. But here we share that responsibility to consecrate the seed that's going to bloom with one another. And so as we do that, we're speaking some words today, but your actions over the coming weeks and months are what will truly consecrate this community and bless it and allow it to grow in whatever way that happens. So for now, let's speak together these words. They are by Norbert Čapek. The consecration of the flowers on the green insert that you have. And by our words and our energy and our intentions, we'll bless these blooms. With the infinite spirit of life, we bless these flowers, these messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion. May they also remind us of the value of companionship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of life's most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. And may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do our work in this world. Let our flowers be consecrated by our intention. Amen. And now is the time when you get to come forward and select a flower. You know, in some Unitarian Universalist communities, flowers are distributed. Sometimes they send around a basket and some young person's hand or some older person's hand will pick a flower for you and give it to you, and you take what you get and you're grateful for it. But here there is a tradition of selecting a flower from the community. Pick a different flower than one you came with, but also be mindful of what this flower really is. It's a gift of love to you. And by receiving this flower, by taking this flower, it's a way of saying, I accept. You have brought this gift of love into our community, and I accept that gift. I accept the work that you do here. I accept the contribution that you make. I accept you. Receiving a flower is a way of saying to whoever brought it today, and it could have been anybody here, I accept you. I accept this gift of love from you. And so we're going to sing our heart-opening song one more time. And as you are ready, I invite you to come forward and select a flower and receive this gift of love, this gift of which you are more than worthy. And I'm going to thank you. I'm going to say I keep losing the key in my head, but that's why we've got partnership. Now we're going to sing My Heart is Open Wide to the love of the earth, to the love of you, and to the love of my soul. My heart is open, open wide to the love of the earth. My heart is open wide to the love of you. My heart is open wide to the love of you. is open, open wide. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the love of my soul. My heart is open, open wide, open wide to the love of my soul.
Yeah, it is. No, I went out to the meetings last night. Yesterday afternoon. They gave us all flowers.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together De Colores, a reflection of all of the colors of flowers that we bring and our own diversity that we bring in terms of our gifts and the love that we bring to one another. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de fuera. De colores es al arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. Sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors as the rainbow appears when the storm cloud is touched by the sun.
the colors are there for the whole world around me, for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. Yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and blooms and bananas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors about for the whole world around, for everyone under the sun.
It's a real tempting of fate to sing about sunlight shining through a rift in the cloud and it showers when we have an outdoor service. We thought we were tempting fate a little bit today when we looked at the sky this morning as we were setting up. And the kitchen crew said, "No, you're good. Plan A, you're fine. Just don't even worry about it." And they were right. So, speaking of the kitchen crew, you know there's a picnic after the service today, right? You're going to stick around for that. You'll have a chance to visit with one another. There's also Free Cycle over here. If there's something that you didn't realize you needed, it might be over there. And if you are able to stick around until around 1:30 today or come back around 1:30 today, the time when we need the most help that isn't around for Free Cycle is when it's all done. So we're going to be able to pack all of the things up. We've got a place for it to go to the Easter Seals Foundation. And so it doesn't have to go home with you. But if you're around at 1:30, then you can help us pack it up, and many hands will make a light work of that. I also want to just mention we did this little trial run with the Journey 101, a little spiritual development curriculum. And we had 14 people go through that 5-week introduction a couple of weeks back, and it went really well, and they want to keep it going. And so on September 11th, we're going to start a deeper dive into that journey. If you didn't have a chance to do that 5-week introduction and you would like to, let me know, because there's a few folks who have said, "Oh, I missed that. I wish I had been able to do it." And there's time to do another one. So if we've got a critical mass, which is, maybe 6 to 8 people is all it would take to plan that again. And I'd be happy to do another round of that over the summer. So let me know. Call, email, whatever makes sense to you. BioBlitz was rescheduled for June 18th. That's going to be looking at the ecosystem around our property. We've got some really wise, educated volunteers that are going to help and guide us through that. And it's for families. There will be childcare provided if folks are too young to really appreciate it, but it's for families to come next Saturday. I'm right about that?
Yeah.
Next Saturday. And we also have a summer solstice service. There's going to be a labyrinth set up over here on the west lawn. And Rena Shear is going to be doing a labyrinth walk on July 3rd, but we've got it. It's going to be set up for the summer solstice, and you'll be able to make use of that labyrinth on the days in between. So more about that as the summer solstice approaches. One more thing. If you're thinking about what kind of flowers could I bring in the fall that I want to think about that I can contribute to this wonderful, wonderful community, let me just tell you, our religious exploration classes could really use some dedicated volunteers. We were kind of shorthanded this year. We've got a policy that says we don't want children to be in a room with just one adult. It's a safety thing. It's not that we don't trust any of you, but it's just a safety consideration. We want to have at least 2 adults in the room. We were a little shy of that this year. And so we want to make sure that we've got enough adults involved to have a robust and committed RE program in the fall. So if you're thinking about what might I contribute to the bouquet, let me just plant that particular seed and say that could be it. So talk to Alan if you're thinking that might be your thing. You don't have to come up with curriculum. We've got that part. So So think about it. And now I'm going to give a benediction. May we carry the flowers that we have taken from these bouquets forth with us, not only physically, but may we carry this love in our hearts and know that we are co-creating a place of welcome, a place where we can be celebrated and where we can openly celebrate those around us in beloved community. Go with peace and courage.
Would you please join me in the words of extinguishing the chalice? They're in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Sorry about that. Cool winds making it change a little bit. That's close. My blood doth rise in the roots of an oak. Her sap doth run in my veins. Boundless my soul, like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end. My sight's as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, those of love's eternity. Those of love's, those of love's, those of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love flows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love flows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dream shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.